Mr. V's Biology.
Science rules.
Mr. V's Biology.
Hi, welcome to Mr. V's Biology. We are in Unit 3, Cells. So we are in our Unit 3 Cells packet where it says the wacky history of the cell theory. So before we move on, just like this arrow says, click the picture in the video. Click this picture and the video will pop up right here. So I click this and it will take you to the video, The Wacky History of the Cell Theory. So please pause this video and watch that one first before moving on. Okay, welcome back. So now you've watched the wacky history of the cell theory, and together we are going to fill out the rest of the sheet over what you've learned from watching that video. So we've learned that there are 3 parts to the cell theory. The first one being that all life is made of 1 or more cells. The cell is the basic unit of life. And number 3, all cells come from pre-existing cells. So if you look at this GIF here, all cells come from cells that already existed. We then learned about some of these cell theory scientists. So the first one that you learned about was Zacharias Janssen, and he made the first compound microscope. The second scientist that we learned about is Anton van Leeuwenhoek, and he took the scrapings of his teeth, looked at it under the microscope, and he actually discovered bacteria. So plaque on your teeth is actually called biofilm, which is a substance that your bacteria leave so that bacteria can stick to your teeth. So that's why it's important to brush your teeth. They didn't do that back when he lived, and so he had lots of bacteria to look at under the microscope. Next guy he looked at was Robert Hooke, and he looked at cork under the microscope and discovered these little chambers, and they reminded him of the rooms that monks lived in, and so he called them cells, just like a jail cell. The next scientist we learned was Matthias Schleiden, and he discovered that all plants were made of cells. He found this out by looking at multiple plants under a microscope. The next guy with the wicked pair of sideburns is Theodore Schwann, and he discovered that all animals were made of cells. And the last scientist is Rudolf Virchow, and he discovered that all cells come from other cells. So then you learned that there were 2 kind of big feuds that happened. So why did Hooke and Newton not get along? Well, it's because Robert Hooke said that Newton was inspired by his work. Well, Newton didn't like that, so he actually burned all of his pictures, and we don't know what Robert Hooke really looked like because all of his pictures were burned, and we do know what Newton looked like. And the last little feud here, why did Virchow and Remak not get along? Well, Virchow stole Remak's work on pre-existing cells. So Virchow kind of gets the credit for saying that all cells come from pre-existing cells, even though that work was stolen from Remak. All right, that's it for the cell theory.